think Maia is going to get him in that position that he needs to get him in, and I think he's going to get the submission. So, but this is another great one on this card.
It truly is, and you're right. I think Maia, his jiu-jitsu is better than Jacare's. Jacare, he likes to strike a little more. He takes more chances, where Maia doesn't take any chances. He knows exactly what he goes in there and does. He always executes his game plan to a T, to perfection. There was a stat out there that Maia had, in his last 6 or 7 fights, had only gotten hit a handful of times. Like, this guy doesn't even get hit. So I mean, he's definitely the consensus favorite, despite he's an underdog, which is really weird. But it's going to be interesting. I can't wait for that one. I really am looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's get to one of the title fights here. Joanna versus Jessica Andrade. Joanna, obviously the title holder, 13-0. She is on the cusp of breaking the streak by the great Ronda Rousey. So, to me, this fight is I mean, like we've been talking, there's some great fights on this card. This one matches up like all of them. And she has just mowed down everybody she's ran into, even some of the top and tough competition. And I don't know that much about Jessica Andrade. So what's your thoughts on this fight, and does Jessica Andrade have a chance?
She's got a puncher's chance. Andrade, I mean, she definitely has a puncher's chance. She's got a lot of power, very explosive, very strong. She's not very big. She's quite a bit smaller than Joanna. She's a lot more muscular, but the thing is with Andrade is she's going to have a tough time, I think, in this fight, because her footwork and her technical striking, the way she sets up her punches, she doesn't really do that. She telegraphs her shots. She loads up on her punches. And for a seasoned striker like Joanna Jędrzejczyk, I see her, she's going to see Andrade's moves a mile away. She's going to see it a mile away before it gets there. But the thing is Andrade puts a lot of pressure, super, super pressure oriented, very aggressive, but very reckless. And I see Joanna just picking her apart. And I have a feeling this will be a stoppage, because Andrade only knows how to fight one way, and that's to come forward and be aggressive. And like I said, with Joanna's precision, speed, technical striking, I just see her picking her apart. But having said that, in Joanna's last fight, she did get hurt. I think it was the 4th round she got dropped, and she was hurt. And the girl she's fighting tomorrow has a lot more power. So if she gets caught, she will be in trouble. But I think her striking is just on another level, and I don't see her getting into too much trouble. I see a third or fourth round TKO for Joanna. That's how I see it going down. But it was interesting that you brought up how, she's chasing Ronda Rousey's title defense record. Ronda Rousey defended her title 6 times, and Joanna is going for her 5th title defense tomorrow. So if she can get past Andrade tomorrow, she'll have 5 title defenses. 1 more would tie her with Ronda. 2 more would break the UFC women's record for title defenses. That would be saying a lot, And another thing too is that Joanna Jędrzejczyk's division has a lot more parity than Ronda Rousey's division back then. When Ronda was coming up, her division didn't have the parity like their division has now. And I mean, Joanna's faced some really top-notch female fighters like Claudia Gadelha, Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Those, in my opinion, are the 2 best after Joanna. Karolina Kowalkiewicz and Claudia Gadelha, they're actually fighting next month on the Jose Aldo Max Holloway card. That'll be a heck of a fight, Gadelha versus Kowalkiewicz. But, I mean, Joanna is the real deal. She's one of my favorite fighters in the UFC, and male or female, she's one of the best strikers in the UFC. Just a treat to watch. So I got her with a TKO in the third or fourth round. I see it.
Okay, and I see Joanna winning as well. I think she is going to continue on her streak, and I would be surprised. I would be shocked if she does lose this. So that's another good one. All right, so the big heavyweight title shot, Mechiak versus Dos Santos Part 2. This one has a lot on the line for both of these guys, with Dos Santos number 4 and obviously Mechiak the champion. Talk about this fight after they already had Part 1 that was a couple of years ago, and now Part 2 they're seem like they're more, maybe gain some more experience, and Part 2 may change, maybe different, maybe a different circumstance.
Yeah, it's a great fight. I mean, they fought back in December of 2014, and that was a war. One of the best heavyweight fights the UFC's ever seen. But going into that first fight, Junior Dos Santos was a heavy favorite. You know, this was a guy who was a former champion. This was a guy that only ever lost to one man in Cain Velasquez. And when Stipe went in there and gave him a real run for his money, people, you know, they woke up to the fact that, wow, this Stipe Miocic guy is an elite heavyweight fighter. He can go in there and hang with a guy like Junior Dos Santos. It was his performance was better than what he actually did, just because it was a surprise how well he did in there. And he lost it. I gave 3 rounds to Junior Dos Santos. It was a very close fight, though. And if you scored it a draw or you scored Miocic slightly up, I mean, I can't complain. But this fight, though, is interesting. You know, a lot has changed in those 2-3 years. I mean, for one, Stipe Miocic, you know, now he has experience of being a champion. He has an experience of going into Brazil to take that belt from Werdum, and then he defended his title in Cleveland in front of his own hometown fans. He has the confidence now, where I don't know if he had that confidence going into the first fight with Junior Dos Santos. So that's going to help him. Now, Junior Dos Santos, you know, he's taken some time off. Maybe that's a good thing, you know. Sometimes you come back, you're not as active, you might be a little rusty, but Junior Dos Santos had been through lots of wars. You know, he had the 2 wars with Cain Velasquez in 2012 and 2013. And then in 2014, he had the war with Stipe Miocic. And then in 2015, he got knocked out by Alistair Overeem. So maybe this was good for Junior to rest his body, to heal, to get his mind straight. He is coming off of a good win last summer over Ben Rothwell. He looked really good, fighting smart, a lot smarter than what he did in the past. It's an interesting fight, you know, because, I mean, their first fight was so close. And, I mean, it's a really tough one to predict. I'm going with Stipe Miocic to win it, but I'm not that confident on the pick. Junior Dos Santos has that power. He just needs to land one heavy shot, and he can put Stipe away. I mean, you can say that about every heavyweight fighter, mind you, but Junior Dos Santos has more power than any heavyweight in the UFC. So it's a dangerous fight for both guys. I see Stipe. I don't see this fight going the distance. Not this time. I really don't see that happening. I see Stipe Miocic stopping Junior Dos Santos in the 4th round. I think that Junior Dos Santos, I don't know if Junior Dos Santos has another war left in him, you know. We saw him take a hellacious shot from Overeem, and, you know, he got stopped in 2015. But the old Junior Dos Santos would have taken that shot and ate it for breakfast, you know. So I just don't see Junior Dos Santos having another 5-round war left in him. So that's why I'm going with Stipe. But I could be wrong. It's a great fight. That's the fight I'm looking forward to most, for sure.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to go with Stipe as well. And I think you made a great point, just with that fight that Junior Dos Santos had, this past fight versus Overeem, and the way that he got knocked out. That was crazy. That was crazy how it all went down. So it's going to be a good one, but I agree with you also. I don't think it's going to go the distance with these two heavyweights. It's going to be a knockout, and I think that's what's going to get the crowd crazy, because this will be the last fight of the night.
Yeah, it'll be crazy for sure, and I really see the last two fights being the best fights of the night. I mean, the Alvarez-Poirier fight, that'll be a good scrappy fight. But I just see the Ioane and Jacek and the Stipe Miocic fight being the two brawls. You know, they're going to be exciting fights, a lot on the line, both title fights, and the MMA world is really in for a treat tomorrow night. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, before I let you go, real quick, I want to get your thoughts. The news came out today. I know we didn't talk about this. We're going to get to this, but the John Bones Jones versus Cormier Part 2 is supposedly scheduled, I believe, for July. Fight coming up. What's your thoughts on this? Do you see this fight actually going down as scheduled?
I do. It actually just came out today that they made it official finally. There was a lot of talk that this was going to happen. It's July 29th. It's UFC 214 in Anaheim, California. I mean, they just announced it today. They had a press conference. I didn't actually watch the press conference. I still haven't gotten time to do that, but I'm definitely going to check that out after this. And they had all the guys on the stage that are fighting this summer. A lot of good fights to look forward to. But that's big news. You know, John Jones, in my opinion, is the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. You know, there's a lot of debates going on, whether it's Anderson Silva, George St. Pierre, Fedor Emelianenko, or even Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. But I have John Jones number one. His resume is truly phenomenal. This rivalry with Daniel Cormier is something else. There's always something. These guys just hate each other, and finally we're gonna close this chapter, because it's interesting. These guys have had so many fights scheduled and got canceled and all these things. I'm pretty sure this is the fifth time this fight gets booked, and they've only fought once before. UFC 178, they were supposed to fight.
Wow.
Jones got hurt, so the card got canceled. A couple months later, they fought at UFC 182. The beginning of 2015, John Jones won a pretty clear unanimous decision. It was a great fight. And then they were scheduled to fight last April. Cormier got injured. Then they were supposed to fight last July at UFC 200, and John Jones popped for a banned substance. So now, hopefully, this fight will actually go down, knock on wood. But that's a huge, huge fight. I mean, the UFC needs a guy like John Jones right now, especially with Conor McGregor not active and Ronda Rousey might never come back. This is big for the UFC. So can't wait for that fight. Definitely looking forward to it. No doubt.
Yeah, I am as well. And I think at this point we have to say that John Jones should know what he can take and what he can't take. I mean, if I was him, I wouldn't take anything, because you've already been in this situation so many times. So we got a lot of great fights coming up Saturday. It'll be great to watch. Once again, talking to Matt Marcil of MMA Boxing Talk. You can find him on Twitter, MMA Boxing Talk 1. Also, most importantly, check out his YouTube page. It's got amazing predictions on their videos, always breaking down everything MMA. So appreciate you for coming on as always.
Awesome, I really appreciate it, and anytime. I'm always down to come on your show, that's for sure.
All right, definitely. Take care and enjoy these fights.
All right, you too. God bless.
God bless. All right, and we are back in the BS3 Sports Show. I have to do this. Got to get another shout out to Mother's Day, all the mothers that are listening, all the mothers in your lives. Happy Mother's Day to them. Also, I've got my aunt, my grandmother's sister, also listening. Pretty special.